Hello, everyone. Welcome to the NTI PodTalk. My name is Dianne Kaler, and I'm the Director of Nutrition Therapy Institute. This PodTalk is our opportunity to have fun conversations with interesting people who have interesting things to say about nutrition, food, and health. I talk to NTI instructors, students and grads, to health industry professionals, to farmers, and anyone else who has an interest in nutritional wellness. While many of our listeners come from within the NTI community as students and grads, we also have prospective students who tune in. And to those listeners in particular, I hope you find that the people we talk to inspire you to finally make the jump to pursue your passion and come to school here at NTI. So without further ado, let's get on with the show. Everyone, welcome back to another edition of the NTI PodTalk. This is Dianne Kaler. I'm the Director of Nutrition Therapy Institute. And as you likely know, this is our opportunity for me to have conversations with people who are inside the NTI community, that's students, graduates, instructors, etc., as well as people outside the community who are sort of in the food and health and wellness world. Today's talk is with someone who is not within the NTI community, and her role outside the NTI community is unique. So we're going to be talking about that. So today I am talking to Makinzie Gregory. So thank you so much, Makinzie, for being here. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
Yeah. Well, so let's just kick it off and say that you are competing in the Miss Nebraska competition, and NTI is one of your sponsors for that competition. So can you talk about how you got to this point to be competing in the Miss Nebraska competition and kind of the steps that it took for you to get to where you are? And then we'll talk a little bit more about why NTI is one of your sponsors for this.
Perfect. Yeah, perfect. So I started competing when I was 17. I'm 22 now. So this will be my fourth title that I have held. Competed for the title of Miss Nebraska 3 different times. So this will be the fourth. Hopefully fourth time's the charm. But so basically I had seen a couple other people in my class, in my community. We have a local competition that is done in the same area that I'm in. And so it was just really easy for a lot of girls, young women in my area to have local titles. And then of course they went on to compete for Miss Nebraska, Miss Nebraska's Outstanding Teen, all of those types of things. And I never really considered myself a pageant girl growing up, but it just looked like so much fun to get on stage. And, we don't really get many opportunities to put on a fancy gown and get all dolled up. So it just looked like so much fun. And so I really just thought to myself, what's the harm in trying? What's it going to hurt if I at least give it a shot? I do know that I will regret it if I go on and I, age out and I'm not able to at least give it a shot. So that's kind of the thought process that I was thinking through when I very first got started 4 or 5 years ago. In order to get to the Miss Nebraska Miss Nebraska competition, you have to first win a local competition. And so my local that I have won was Miss Star City. That's out of the Lincoln area, so the far eastern side of Nebraska. I'm from the far western side of Nebraska, about 40 minutes away from Wyoming. So it's a little bit different, but I'm excited to really be able to showcase what Western Nebraska can do while also being able to tap into some of the resources in Eastern Nebraska.
Great. Okay. So as a competitor in the Miss Nebraska competition, you have to have a social impact cause.
Right.
So I'm going to have you tell us what your social impact cause is, because that will maybe help explain why NTI is one of the sponsors for you. So tell us what your social impact cause is.
So my social impact is called Radiant Health, leading the world from sick care to healthcare. Throughout the several years I've competed, this is the first year that I have used this social impact. I have really took some time before I competed again for this local to really hone in on what I'm passionate about and really what I want my social impact, like what my impact on society, what I want it to be. And I realized that what I was doing before wasn't really what I wanted to be, leaving my mark on society, if you will. So like I said, I stepped back and took some time to really think about it. And I came up with health, and that was the general area that I wanted to leave my mark on, but I had no idea what exactly I wanted to do with that. So I'm currently a physical therapist assistant at Regional West, so the hospital here in this area. And I was going through my schooling for physical therapy and was just seeing so many people who had various different surgeries, various different illnesses. Like I was just really getting involved in the healthcare industry. And so I had seen all these different people, and I remember one day that there was a thought in my mind of, what if we could prevent some or all of these things? Not that we can, not that, I was believing in that moment, but there was just like this tiny little piece of just what if we could do all those things? And so then once that point hit, then I just started seeing illness, sickness, broken people, it was just jumping out at me, whether they had, whatever illness they had, or even if they didn't have a diagnosed illness and they just were tired and fatigued and weren't really living a life that I think God designed us to live. So then birthed my social impact initiative, Radiant Health, because I think that God created us to have radiant, vibrant health and not just to sit around and just survive, just get by. So I think that's possible. And so that's what I really want to do with my social impact, is to inspire people to know that it is possible. Now I can give them some little tidbits here and there. I can't really give them, this is exactly what you should do, but I can help with the perspective shift towards healthcare, not just, diagnosing an illness and then treating that one illness, sick care. We have to wait for something to happen before we're able to put something to cure it, to treat it, all of those types of things. We don't really focus on our health and nourishing our bodies, whether that's with food, whether that's with exercise, what you're consuming on social media, getting out into nature, the sun, like a holistic approach to what health means. And I think that can open so many different doors for people to have more vibrant, radiant health than just what we have currently in our current system.
Yeah, absolutely. And so the way, we are connected, NTI is connected with you, is because, of course, we have a deep interest in educating people about their food choices, their lifestyle choices, but mostly their food choices and how those food choices impact their health, and educating people about how to make better food choices that are more in alignment with achieving whatever wellness goals they have. And so, you mentioned that in order to nourish yourself, food is an important part of that. And there are other components, lifestyle and mindset components that play a role there. But of course, food is a major one. And so that is why we have this connection, and why NTI has chosen to be one of your sponsors. So now, how does being in these types of competitions, these pageant competitions, how does this allow you to promote your social impact message? What kinds of opportunities does it give you to actually talk about this and get in front of people to, try to spark them to think differently about their health in this case?
Yeah. So, that's just having a local title really just propels you and just catapults you into, you're now a public figure as Miss Star City, Miss, whatever the title is. And that just keeps going and getting higher and more prominent as you go higher in the organization. So Miss Nebraska obviously has a little bit more notoriety than a local title holder, but a local title holder has a little bit more notoriety than, just some average person on the street. So that's typically why I have chosen to compete and why I think it's such a unique tool to use for broadcasting messages, because, for instances, opportunities like this, I probably would not have gotten a lot of the opportunities that I have for podcasts, for other speaking engagements, social media, all of those types of digital opportunities if I didn't have a title. So I think that it really just gives us a platform to speak on and to broadcast our message to wider audiences. Again, even if it's not, even if the audience member doesn't really agree or they don't find value necessarily in the tactics that you provide, at least you're getting in front of people to spark their curiosity. You're giving them some food for thought that hopefully they'll take back to their lives and do their own little research and come up with what works best for their bodies, for their lifestyle, for their life. But gives us the opportunity to do podcasts like this, gives us the opportunity to speak to schools, local title holders. Miss Nebraska, Miss America goes into a lot of schools, typically elementary schools, which is where a lot of this starts.
Absolutely,
educating elementary school students and middle school students on how to fuel their body as opposed to how to take away and, weight loss and things like that. We want to focus on fueling our body. And I think that's the first place that starts. So it gives us those opportunities. And then any other keynote speeches, speaking engagements to other groups of people, again, just puts it in their mind, puts some seeds in their mind to really look into it themselves and potentially spark their curiosity to do their own research.
Yeah. And I imagine that as part of the actual competition, on the night of the competition, you are on stage given a certain allotment of time to articulate what is your social impact cause. And so that kind of requires you to hone your your message, right? Because I imagine it's not, a long soliloquy that you can give. It's probably got a time limit on it. I don't know how much time it is, but that obviously would require you to really hone your message.
Yes, definitely. So on the Miss America, Miss Nebraska, all the way down to the local stages, there's all sorts of opportunities that we are given to broadcast that message. Again, it's in like kind of in whatever audience members are there get to receive that message. But then I think it begs a ripple response. If they hear something that intrigues them, they're going to go tell their friend, and then their friend's going to go tell their friend, and so on and so forth. Right. So on the Miss America, any of the competition stage, we have the opportunity, we have a judge or a 5-panel judge interview to where we get to just speak our hearts, not only about our social impact, but us as people, what we want to do with our lives, what we have already done for our communities, and how we would best fit for the role of Miss whatever. We also get to do an onstage question, which a lot of times is geared towards our social impact, asking, what it is, what it's about, how we would react in this situation, which is another opportunity to share what the social impact is. We're also given a pitch, which is kind of what you were mentioning about. We have an opportunity to just kind of put it together, a short little elevator speech, if you will, about what it is and why it's important, it's important to all people in all age groups, why it's applicable, essentially. So all of those different opportunities all funnel to who would make the best Miss Nebraska, Miss California, Miss Colorado, whoever it is, Miss America. It's really a glorified job interview. It's really just pointing towards, as Miss America, Miss Nebraska, you're going to be at different events. You're going to have all these speaking engagements to where somebody might ask you kind of an off the cuff question where you have to answer tactfully, but you also have to share what your opinion is. So that's what the onstage question, the interview, all of those phases are supposed to funnel to the correct, the best applicant for the job.
Yeah. All right. So if, and we're just going to do a little role play here. So if the question, your on stage question was something like, one of the purposes for the winner is to use her term to inspire, promote, and engage. The question is, what actions do you want your term to inspire that will help bring your cause to fruition? What's your call to action?
Yeah. I really think it's about thinking about our health differently. And I know that that is such a vague, a wide, broad idea, but I could tell you, you need to eat these things. You need to drink more water. You need to move your body more. And all those things are great, but they don't point to the correct root cause of why I believe our healthcare system has gone so awry. And I think that's just because of the mindset that we have, and that as all individuals, how we think about our health. So really, I want to just inspire people to think about their health differently. That doesn't mean that they have to agree with every single thing that I say, or that every single thing that their research, all these people that they look into says, but it does give them that spark of curiosity to look into it, to assess it, to analyze, to really be our own doctors, if you will. That's not saying that doctors are not necessary by any means, but we have the power of our health. We have the power to choose, and we should have the opportunities to make those choices rather than being told what we should do. So I really think, like I said, it's really about the mindset shift and the perspective shift towards a brighter, more holistic version of healthcare, where we're a whole person. Everything is looked at, rather than just, you have this one disease, here's how we can address those symptoms.
Yeah, I think part of it, or maybe even a lot of it, is empowering people to recognize that every day they are making decisions about their food, their lifestyle, their social engagements, what kind of toxins they are choosing to expose themselves to, whether it be through, cigarette smoking or whatever. And so empowering people to recognize that they have agency over those choices, and they have a level of self-responsibility to understand how those choices influence their health. And from there, that if they pick up that spark of interest, then they start thinking about their food, their water, their their smoking habits, whatever. And they are able to make changes.
Yeah, because they realize that it's not just all genetics. It's not all just luck.
That's right.
It definitely plays a piece into it. But it's not the whole picture. We have so much more power and so much more responsibility, as you mentioned, over our health. And I think we just kind of let it, oh, well, if I'm going to get this disease, it's because it was in my genes, it was in my genetics. Right. When that's really not necessarily always the case. There's certain things we can be predisposed to, maybe, but the choices that we make every single day are really a vote for what kind of life we want to live and our health for our future.
Yeah, absolutely. So do you think, so your term, for whatever level of competition you win, that is a 1-year term where you are, on whatever size stage you're on, based on the level of the competition. So that's a 1-year term. But I would imagine that even after your 1-year term of where you're at right now, Miss Star City, and Miss Nebraska. We're going to just assume that you're going to win. But, I would imagine that your passion about this subject is going to go longer.
Yeah.
So in the short term, maybe we may not be able to see changes, in 1 year's time or 2 years' time. But over the long term, can you identify what kind of changes that you would be looking for in the food system, in even legislative actions, in the environment? Like, can you point to some changes you'd be looking for that can show that your message is having an impact?
Definitely. So here in Nebraska, which obviously, since that's where I'm from, that's what I'm focusing the most on.
Yep.
Here in Nebraska, we only have access to raw milk on farm. So where I'm from, I have to drive about 45 minutes one way to get that raw milk pretty much every week. So, that's not as convenient and easy it is just to run to the store real quick and pick up a gallon of milk.
Yeah.
But because I know what the benefits are and how important it is to choose the raw milk rather than choosing the grocery store milk, I'm okay with making those choices and making the drive and having it to be a little bit more inconvenient for me. Whereas, some people aren't able to do that. It just plain flat, they might want to, but they just can't, with family, with job, with whatever else is going on in their life. So I really think that it would be fantastic to make the food system, the local food system, very similar to how the grocery store, you can just go in to a centralized location and you can pick up a gallon of raw milk. You can pick up whatever meat you might need for your meal that you're making. I think it's filling a grocery store with local food, local produce, and giving people the option to choose that. So the raw milk, but then also the Food Freedom Act, very similar to Wyoming, is what they have. I would love to see something like that in Nebraska as well. Again, giving the people the choice to do those things. That doesn't mean people have to, but that does give those who want to, makes it easier accessed by them, and they're able to work it into their life a little bit easier than having to drive 45 minutes or having to buy a whole beef instead of just the one little steak that you need, or the produce, and then all of the other wonderful foods that go along with it, the sourdough breads, the properly prepared seeds and nuts and things like that as well. I think we should have access to all of those things. It's really difficult to learn how to cook all of those things properly if you're starting out from knowing what the standard American diet is. So really,
very different.
Make that shift. So I think we should make it easier for people to, they don't have to cook all of those things. They can just pick it up nice and easy, just like they would at the grocery store. That's kind of a long process. Anything with legislation is kind of a long process, but that would definitely be something I would love to see in the next couple years, just to give people the opportunity, to choose.
Yeah, well, I see in your future that you're going to be lobbying your state legislators, and maybe starting a new food co-op system. So,
never know.
yeah, there you go. All right. Well, it has been so fun talking to you. I really appreciate it. How can people find out more about you and be able to keep up with your, the results of the competition, and how can they learn more about you?
Yeah, so primarily Facebook and Instagram are the main areas that I communicate on or broadcast those things. So my Instagram would just be Miss Star City 2023. And then Facebook would also be the same thing. And I'll post updates about competition, about what I'm doing throughout the year, just different ideas and ways that we can get involved as well. So I will be coming out with my website here soon. So that'll be another thing to stay tuned. And then also in the works is hopefully a podcast. So there'll be a couple other ways that we can interact, but Facebook and Instagram currently will give you all the updates.
Great. Nice. Well, if you're looking for guests for your podcast, I'd be happy to come on and be a guest on your podcast.
That would be great.
I would assume that maybe you would post this podcast to
Definitely.
your audience, and just as an introduction for your audience, in case they aren't familiar with who we are. I just realized that I should probably say who we are to your audience. So we are a school in just outside of Denver, Colorado, Arvada, Colorado, and we teach holistic nutrition, and we also have a natural food chef program. So those of you who follow Mackinzie and are just as passionate about health and wellness and food and lifestyle and all that kind of stuff as Mackinzie is, and you want to go to school to become certified as a nutrition therapist master or a natural food chef, look us up, and because we'd love to have you. So all righty, well, this has been enjoyable, Mackinzie. It's been a real pleasure, and
Thank you so much.
We're rooting for you, so we'll be looking to see your progress here.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me and letting me speak to your audience.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Hi there, and thanks for listening today. If what you heard today inspires you to want to pursue an education in holistic nutrition here at Nutrition Therapy Institute, please check us out on our website, ntischool.com, and reach out to us at admissions@ntischool.com. Our in-depth, comprehensive education is sure to provide you with the knowledge and skills you need to create the work of your dreams. Do something that feeds your passion, aligns with your values, and fuels your drive for a vital and meaningful life. It will be rewarding for yourself, your family, and anyone else with whom you interact. And with that, see you on the next episode.